And discuss, what all of this means for the auto sector at large. We've got Hitesh Goel, a senior analyst of Kotak Securities, joining us. Hi, Hitesh. Just look at what's happening with the two-wheeler space. Would you say this is all in reaction to what Bajaj Auto said in its conference call? Has it, sounded of a price war?
Yeah, so basically, if you look at the sector right now, it's coming, the industry growth per se looks good right now because the rural growth is picking up. But the indication from Bajaj Auto that they're not happy with the 16% market share that they have in the domestic motorcycle segment, and the target is to take it to 24% in 3 years, at the cost of margins is quite worrying. Because if you look at the lower end of the band, like the CT100 and Platina products that they have in the economy segment, that doesn't make any margin. Actually, it's making negative contribution to the EBITDA right now, right? So if in that segment they continue, you can buy some market share because that segment you can keep on cutting prices and you can get additional volumes given the demography of India, right? So you can continue to increase volumes in that segment, but that doesn't bode well for the industry profitability per se. Specifically, it impacts Hero, Bajaj, and to some extent TVS as well, because for these guys, the economy segment is around 7 to 20% of the revenues. So in that segment, if the profitability, which is already under pressure, comes down further, it can impact margins of these companies, which is reflected in the stock price.
Right, but Hitesh, it's a big reset for Bajaj, and not only for Bajaj but the other two-wheeler players also. Firstly, why it's a reset for Bajaj is because up until now it's been a company which has boasted of very high margins, and now they are willing to let go of that in order to tap on, into more cheaper segments, more entry-level segments, and so on, which is also a big threat in terms of market share to smaller existing players like TVS, and that is why we're seeing the stock of TVS also react. So overall, in the entire two-wheeler space, how would you sum up the changes that are taking place? Because a lot of players are changing their focal points after focusing on one niche segment for a very long time.
See, you're correct. We have been highlighting for the last 2 years that there's going to be increase in competitiveness in the sector because we were seeing that Honda is quite aggressive and actually it's gaining market share in the scooter segment. We have seen TVS actually bring in new products and increase competitiveness in both scooter and the premium motorcycle segment. And the existing players like Hero and Bajaj were getting impacted in certain segments. Hero used to be a second largest player in scooter, lost that tag with TVS gaining the second highest market share. Bajaj lost a lot of market share in the domestic motorcycle segment. So to keep dealers happy, you will have to resort to certain strategy, because the products that they've launched are not doing well in those segments. Like scooter segment, Hero is struggling, Bajaj was struggling in the executive segment. Even in the premium segment, they've lost market share to all players like TVS and Yamaha and also to Royal Enfield. So they had to resort to a strategy to increase volumes because at certain point in time, you'll start seeing dealers, moving to other players. And we have seen that in certain regions. So that is an issue which they had to address. And that is why they are resorting to certain strategies, these strategies.
Isn't this strategy also fairly risky? Because, like you said, they have tried various things which have actually not worked well for the company. And now they're saying that, okay, entry level and executive segment is something that we're targeting. And Hero already has a very large chunk of that market. And it wouldn't be too easy even to, gain share there, would it?
Yeah, so Hero had also brought down product prices in CD Deluxe to gain market share in that segment. That is how they did it. And if Bajaj reduces prices further, even TVS and Hero will have to do it because it's a very price-sensitive segment. So I don't think there's a pretty, a big brand recall in that segment, which can, but pricing matters a lot in that segment. So it depends on how Bajaj and Hero wants to play it and to what extent. But if they get very aggressive in that segment, you will see market share pressures. For Hero, the best part is actually large part of those volumes comes from Splendor and Passion, and they've held on to that market share, actually increased their market share in that segment and held on to the pricing in that segment. So both of these players are actually taking the cash cows from their, businesses like the export three-wheeler business in case of Bajaj and using that to buy market share in domestic. Hero is also using the the cash cow of Splendor and Passion and trying to gain market share in the economy motorcycle segment and also in the scooter segment. So that is an issue because Honda doesn't have to report to the investors, right? And they don't have to show very high margins. They are happy with low margins. They're happy with the double-digit margins that they get from the scooter segment.
It just sounds very difficult to believe that any company doesn't have to worry about margins just because it may not have been listed in a particular domicile. My final question before I let you go. So this is a big reset. Rajiv Bajaj and Bajaj Auto finally doing what many believe should have been done years ago. It was Rajiv Bajaj who had decided the company was not going to focus on the economy segment anymore. So with this reset taking place and a price war being officially announced on the conference call, are you guys at Kotak Securities re-rating any of these two-wheeler stocks? I'm also asking you this question on a day when you've seen record 52-week lows being recorded by the stocks.
See, I can't give any indications on what my recommendations in future would be or what my target prices or anything would be. But I stated call on this all three stocks as sell. So we have a sell rating on all the two-wheeler companies because we had highlighted these issues earlier.
Okay, so that's no re-rating as of now, early days ahead, but all the two-wheeler stocks are selling off and Kotak Securities does have a sell against them at the moment. Thanks so much, Hitesh. Always a pleasure chatting with you. Thanks for joining us here on ET Now.